Alright, we are back here today finally with another video, the first video of 2026 over here on ACS Combat. Good to be back, new year, and finally after a 6 week break we get back to the UFC as Paddy Pimblett takes on Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight world title. So this is my predictions, UFC 324, let's get into it. The co-main was originally scheduled to be one of the best, probably the highest level women's mixed martial arts fight there's been yet, in Amanda Nunes coming out of retirement to take on Kayla Harrison. Two of the goats of the sport were about to fight each other, and unfortunately, speedy recovery to Kayla Harrison. She injures her neck, and that fight is off. And Amanda Nunes is also off the card. The new main event. The former bantamweight champion of the world, Sugar Sean O'Malley, takes on Song Yudong. O'Malley has had obviously two losses that come against Prime Marab. Like, you really can't complain. It obviously goes to the decision. First time gets submitted the last time out. Now, the first time actually wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. In my opinion, obviously, Marab does a lot of showboating and stuff. But O'Malley was able to come through, land a nice teep kick to the body. Did give bits away, the game plan. Obviously, he didn't execute it the second time as much. But you look at something Yan targeted in that fight when he won and beat Marab in December there. Body kicks and had Marab shouting and everything. O'Malley's smarter than people gave him credit for, and so's his coach. Song Yudong coming off the win against Henry Cejudo. Now, I don't really know what to think about that. Henry Cejudo got poked in the eye and all that stuff. It was a bit of a weird one. Before that, Yan beat him, and then he gets the win over Gutierrez there. I mean, Song Yudong, solid striker, decent power. Obviously, you look at the respective opponent, and it's a controversial one, but Sean O'Malley did beat Peter Yan. Whether that is right or not, it's all on the paper, and that's the way you have to look at it sometimes. Sean O'Malley did get that win over Peter Yan. Obviously, what Sean O'Malley had put on before, those two Marab fights, was one of the best striking performances the UFC has seen, obviously against Marlon Chita Vera, and I do think that Sean O'Malley is going to get this one done. It's hard to pick against Sean O'Malley, especially in a fight like this. He's a 5-inch reach advantage, really sharp, solid striker, decent power. In my opinion, he has all the right things to be able to outstrike Song Yudong in a 3-round fight and move on. He is still number 3 ranked, so we'll see where that gets him. He has a win over the champ. Maybe that could leverage him another title fight, we'll see. But I just think he's going to be too quick. I think he's going to be too sharp this time out. And I don't think that he's going to have left anything out in training. I think this will be a solid fight, but I can definitely see O'Malley winning this by decision or potentially late stoppage. Moving on then to the main event. And this could be a sad one, let's be honest here. But Justin Gaethje takes on Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title. Justin Gaethje, veteran of the sport. I mean, there's no denying it. If you thought the tactics to get the title shot were a bit weird, he got it. And that's what matters. Coming off that win against Rafael Fiziev, before that coming off that loss to Max Holloway where he got knocked out in the last second of round 5 of UFC 300. But before that, I mean, very inactive. Obviously getting older, getting to that later stage of his career, it's going to happen. But he is 2-1 in his last 3. Got that win over Fiziev, and that was a really good performance in my opinion. It was a year ago. Was the 9th of March, and then before that was another year practically before he loses to Holloway on the 14th of April, and then another year before that he beats Poirier, and then before that he beats Fiziev. So in his last 5, Gaethje is 3-2, so he's still up, still getting wins, still got really good striking, and you seen that come into play in that Poirier fight and that Fiziev fight. He was even able to drop Holloway, still got that power because he was the first one to ever do that. Paddy Pimblett on the other hand, I mean, submission specialist I think would be the right thing to call him, but he really proved in the last fight against Mick what he was able to do when it came to his grappling outside too as well, in the way that he just controlled Michael Chandler, took him down, slammed him, controlled him, got him out, and just absolutely brutalized him, annihilated him with elbows. Michael Chandler probably never looked the same after that fight, let's be honest, because Paddy was beating him on that ground and pound, just absolutely hammering him. Coming off that win against Michael Chandler, then Tony Ferguson was obviously another one of his notable wins. Then you have the likes of Jordan Levitt on there, and a couple of other names that aren't that really high of a level, but Jared Gordon on there as well. A couple of good wins for Paddy, but he hasn't necessarily come through and fought who you think he would have to fight to get the title shot. But you do have to say, Charles got the title shot against Taporia, and his last win before that fight was against Michael Chandler. So you can't really complain when Paddy gets the same thing, and he beat Chandler worse than Oliveira did, and he stopped him. Bobby Green, that win was extremely slick. Bobby Green shoots a single leg for some strange reason. Paddy wraps him up in a guillotine, gets him down, and then transitions it into a triangle choke, which he then transitions into an armbar as well at the same time. Puts King Green Green out cold. Great submission victory there. And he's had a couple of rough fights in there, and you see in his first fight in the UFC, he got stunned and everyone was thinking, is he going to get put out of there? No, he knocked him out. Then you see he wins by submission, and then he submits Laffit as well. That was a really good win. Then it got rocky against Jared Gordon. Let's be honest here, that was a close fight. My opinion, could have went either way, but Pimblett gets the decision, moves on, gets surgery, comes back in December the next year, comes back a year later against Tony Ferguson. Shout out the legend, El Kakuri, elite boxer by the looks of it. Coming off that win on Misfits there against Warren Spencer. And Paddy drops him, beats him through a decision, although he got very tired in that fight. And there's a lot of rumours what's going to happen next for him. Who's he going to get next? He then fights, obviously at the time, Bobby Green, now known as King Green, and he really proved a lot of critics wrong in that fight. People would have thought he would have got outstruck, with that chin in the air, those hands down, but he really proved how elite that grappling was. And then obviously, where people actually really thought that he would get cracked by Chandler, he just really used his range well in that fight. Although it's like he's like the DDP of lightweight, let's be honest, not a lot of it looks technically right with the hands down and stuff, but the jab, he's done some uppercuts in there. And then obviously perfectly timed that knee down the middle on Michael Chandler, cuts him wide open on the cheek. And then that just was the beginning of the end. And he slams him down. Ground and pound, elbows through the middle, 12 to 6 elbows, ground and pound, and the referee steps in. Chandler, there's a screenshot, which I don't know can go on YouTube or not. Chandler just looking up, looking for signs of help out there, but no one's coming to save him. And gets a stoppage there in the best win of his career against the toughest opponent of his career. And he ends up in this situation again. Now, Michael Chandler is like Justin Gaethje in some ways, but not like him in a lot of ways. Can wrestle, but chooses not to. Gaethje is a legend, let's be honest. Some of the fights that he's had, some of the fights he's been in, those Poirier fights, obviously that win over Tony Ferguson put a stop to the plans of the UFC, put a stop that Khabib and Tony Ferguson fight from happening at the time. And he's looking to do it again. He's looking to stop that Paddy and Ilya fight from happening because he wants the belt. Now, I believe if he wins this, he will be the first ever two-time interim champion. Gaethje's a legend. Obviously carries that power, and you look at some of those knockouts, James Vick, Edson Barbosa, then you look at just the Michael Johnson fight. So many fights Justin Gaethje's had that are just absolutely elite, to say the least. Such a great fighter, and this will be his last one if he loses, as far as I'm aware. So, could I see Gaethje catching Paddy, getting him out of there? Possibly. But he also caught Charles and couldn't get him out of there. Paddy has a good chin. Let's be honest, he has been hit, and Chandler did crack him a good one, and he took it. Hands down doesn't really help Paddy, and I know that he does have his hands up in his vlogs throughout fight week, or in the embedded episodes in his training. He has his hands up. He does it every time. He has his hands up, goes into the fight, they're at his chest. So there's a possibility he gets cracked unless he does obviously keep that sort of going. Maybe it'd be like Yuri. Yuri fights his hands down all the time, and then he put them up once in his last fight and was like, "Yo, this actually works. Maybe Paddy will try it." This is kind of the way you have to look at it. And Justin Gaethje's had 2 title fights for the undisputed belt, and how did he lose them? Well, you look at it, the best wrestler, arguably the UFC's ever seen, Khabib, takes him down, gets him in a triangle, choke, submits him. Then you have Charles Oliveira, drops him, and at that point, he couldn't really do anything anyways, but also submits him with a rear naked choke. This fight is very, very, it is 50-50. The probability of Gaethje being able to crack Paddy is the same as what I'm about to predict. The other way about. I think at this stage of his career, I think he's going to give us a great fight. I think this one will be close, but I do think eventually Paddy is going to get him down, and he is going to submit him. You just have to look the way things have been when Justin Gaethje has went up against those good grapplers and those good submission artists. Unless he gets it early, gets that shot on Paddy, finds his chin, and puts him out. I'm going to pick Paddy Pimblett here to get this one done. And as we all know, he's proven to be a way better fighter than many believed in the first whenever he started in the UFC. So, although it kind of does hurt, because this would be Justin Gaethje's last fight. He said a while ago he's making one more run at that belt and that's it. So this would be his last fight if he loses. So it would hurt to see him go out in a loss, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And in my opinion, Paddy is going to get him. Paddy hits hard as well, so I think Paddy will be able to submit him. Yeah, or stop him with the same way he did Chandler. Ground and pound, elbows, and that'd be it, my opinion. That is it. Justin Gaethje, if this is the last time, what a legend. Shout out to him. By no means what I want to pick against him, but it has to be done. Paddy also has the reach, so I think he'll be using that range again all day. And yeah, that is it. Huge year over here on CS Combat coming up, hopefully. I would say subscribe and stick around for it, because I do have some huge things in the plans. Hopefully some huge fights at hand and some big interviews to get. So stick around, like, subscribe, follow for more. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram X, TikTok, whatever way you want to say it. I got Paddy Pimblett winning this fight to become the interim lightweight champion. Leaves us with one more fight to have, and that is Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria. Will the stars finally align? I hope so. And we'll get that fight, because what a fight that will be. That is it over here on SCS Combat. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.